Good morning, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellency Bapak Agus Yudhoyono, Menteri Koordinator Bidang Infrastruktur dan Pembangunan Kewilayahan, Bapak Sugiono, Menteri Luar Negeri, Bapak Rahmat, Menteri Bappenas, Bapak Osi Darmawan, Wakil Menteri Agraria dan Tata Ruang. It's a great honor for me to be here this morning because this is, I think, great opportunity also to have a look what's going to happen to Indonesia for the next 5 to 10 years. If you look at my slide, I just go to my slide. The projection of Indonesia for the next 5 to 10 years, I believe we can grow like 8, even to 9%. We've been doing a study on this in the National Economic Council because there are so many good projects ongoing right now in Indonesia. Number one, I think we are talking about school meal, which is, I think, the very beautiful program. I just jump in very quick on that. The size of this program, we finance like 161 trillion rupiah this year and around maybe 300 trillion rupiah next year. I think this is the first time in the history of Indonesia that we could do something that bring or establish new economic center in so many areas around the country. So then this could bring equality in this country. And we can tackle also a lot of things in a remote area. If you look at this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the slide. This is that we should move. If you're talking about 2045, we have to grow like 6, 7, or 8% by 28, 29. Or 30. This can be achieved if we work detail and then we focus on that special project of President Prabowo, school meal, and we are talking about downstreaming of the agriculture. We can do a lot. We have a lot in Indonesia, and we still have like downstreaming of nickel ore and others. Ladies and gentlemen, you look at the chart here, the slide, you can read this over there, that we are not over optimistic about this, but we are confident because I experienced the last 10 years, nearly 11 years, how do we manage? If you establish a strong, good, professional teamwork, we can tackle this one. We can achieve this target, the 8% growth, by 2028, 29. I still remember, and how do we tackle COVID at the time, back to the year 2022, nearly chaotic around the globe. But Indonesia has a very strong team. And we work as a teamwork, and we are very successful to manage how to contain COVID at the same time the economy is still moving. That's, I think, the art of this country at the time, how to deal with this issue. Now, if you look at the global, next slide, please. The imminent global shifts and trade tension in Indonesia economy remains resilient. We're going to have a meeting this morning around 9:30 in the council. How do we respond what happened in the US and what happened in China? How much the impact toward Indonesian economy? So this is, I think, a recommendation we are preparing to the president because the volatile things in US, but at the same time, China has also the problem. It's very hard to predict, but we have to prepare the worst and the best scenario in order to respond to this situation. You look at this also, the fragile economic growth in Europe, and I think US could, this is our prediction, could reduce their present in Europe, but at the same time, Europe has a problem also with Russia. So this kind of situation, if you look at also some books written by Redalio, then you can see the cycle, the big cycle of this situation today. If you look at also the slide, economic growth projection by country, this is the slide. We have to keep our growth above 5% in order to achieve the 8-9% by 2028, 2029. The question whether this is doable or not. I can say yes, doable, but we have to work together. Detail cannot be just give the instruction, but we don't go to detail to this project. That's why infrastructure is so important. Infrastructure cannot immediately give the response to the economy, but we learn the infrastructure, for instance, that we built in Sumatra to Bengkulu. The result after 6 years, you see the demand of electricity hike very much. The infrastructure in Java also changed the picture of the industry in Indonesia. Labor-intensive industry very important for Indonesia. Some people said about the garment and footwear decline in Indonesia, which is not true, because we were so surprised last time that from China, they relocate some of their industry to very small city in Java, like in Jawa Tengah. They don't go to the special economic zone. They go to the small city because they said simple, the feng shui is very good there instead of here. So something like this we never predict. But you know how much they employ? They employ 10,000 people. So our prediction now, the people say that lay off a lot, yes, but at the same time, our prediction will come up with my slide later on, around 67,000 employees going to happen before end of this year. Now, Indonesia will continue to implement fiscal discipline while increasing productive spending. This is, I think, very important, ladies and gentlemen. This discipline fiscal is very, very important. So efficiency is very important. That's why the President Prabowo encouraged to move very quick on the government technology, which is not right now ongoing. The President insists to launch this by this coming August. If you remember, maybe like 2 months ago, President Prabowo also launched already e-catalog, 6 version, which is, I think, a very good thing to manage the government procurement. Right now, 90% of the government procurement all through e-catalog, which is, I think, very efficient. We save like 30 to 40%. And we learn from our experience in COVID. We have a Peduli Lindung, and then now we have a e-catalog. And Simbara, all the mineral right now through the system. So we have to work based on the system. So I believe with the government technology, hopefully we can start to test this system by end of this year through bantuan langsung, so the bansos. This is, I think, one of the programs that we understand, the direct transfer, cash direct transfer to the people who qualify to get this transfer. This is, I think, the size that you can see. And Indonesia has made continuous progress strengthening connectivity by land and air and etc. This is, I think, very important, talking about costs. At the end, why the people want to invest in Jawa Tengah, Central Java? Simple reason. Because they have a good infrastructure from Java to Jakarta or to Patimban. Patimban, we have a seaport over there. And we have airport in Kertajati. So the infrastructure connectivity is very important in order to reduce the cost. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you invest in Indonesia today on infrastructure, that's the right time to do. Of course, it takes some time to see the return because but some toll road in Java is very lucrative business to invest. But we offer also to you later on about infrastructure in Sumatra, toll road from South Sumatra to Medan. Improved connectivity drives the spread of industrial development. I mentioned already this one. And if you look at this one, number of employees that we created because of this, some people pessimistic, but I can tell you honestly, we are very optimistic on this. At the end, people, the investor look at whether they can get return or can they get benefit or profit from their investments. As simple as that. So that's why a number of investors also right now increasing quite good. We don't have much problem on that. I went to China. I just back from China 3 weeks ago. I've been discussed also with some of my friends, colleagues in China. They're willing to do that, to invest in Indonesia, to relocate some of their industry to Indonesia because facilities in Indonesia also very good. And ladies and gentlemen, Trans Sumatra, the other infrastructure to offer to you, the completion, the 1,000 something kilometer. Yeah, this is, I think, financing need to connect Lampung to North Sumatra. This is 161 trillion rupiah. This is, I think, very important for Indonesia because once this toll road, we able to finish this by within 5 years' time, then we can see the economy can move much faster in the Sumatra area. Because in the middle of Sumatra, there are so many industry over there, so many potential renewable energy over there. I mentioned earlier about free nutrition meal, pro-jobs, pro-poor, and pro-equality program. This is, I think, very, very important for Indonesia to bring equality in Indonesia. Before, we don't have this kind of program. But this program, I sent my team to have a look what's going on the school meal. I think ongoing quite well. Of course, still have some problem here and there, but in general, I think it's going very well. And we're going to establish supply chain because of this. Then we can see the new economic sector in the rural area, in the district, and in other area. So we are not focused in one area. So you can imagine 161 trillion rupiah. Normally we can just put it in Java, but right now we spread out all over Indonesia. And next year going to be 300 trillion rupiah. So that's the bring confidence to me, to our National Economic Council, that 8% growth achievable. But again, we have to do with a strong team, and we have to work in detail. The regulation have to be in place. We are working very hard on this issue, and I reported to the president, the regulation should top down, otherwise it's not going to work. That's my experience. So this not easy, but doable. If we work together, I think we can achieve these dreams. Indonesia will continue to transform the economy by shifting from raw materials to value-added industry. I think we experienced about nickel ore. I still remember back to 10 years ago. Our export nickel ore at the time, dirt, is 1.3 billion US dollars. And last year, I think our export after precursor, cathode, and others, it's around 35 billion US dollars. And I believe by 2045, we can go even higher than that. Maybe we can go to around 50 billion US dollars. Only one item, nickel ore, but we have also another potential of the seaweed, for instance. I can tell you seaweed is a very, very important also that we can develop. Because I remember also when we began with nickel ore, we banning the nickel ore export at the time. People complained, some of my colleagues also in the cabinet said, hey, why we lost that 1.3 billion US dollar. But I said to the president at the time, I said, Pak President, Yes, we lost $1.3 billion, but over time, maybe 2-3 years, we can get more than that. And last year, we export from nickel ore with downstreaming is over 34 billion US dollars. This is, I think, the seaweed. We have been doing study the last 3 years. I involved directly to this seaweed, and I was so surprised when we were in UN. The UN also formed a task force on this seaweed, and 2 weeks ago, I received researchers from US university that they are also interested in this program, and they were so surprised that we have also already the research center in Bali, in North Bali, and also in Lombok. I think this one is moving very well, and we have the area this, and we are also closely established collaboration with India Institute of Technology, and we understand right now we can produce biostimulants and healthy foods and biodegradable plastic, and seaweed also carbon sink. So Indonesia is going to played a very important role in this regard. So that's why, again, infrastructure is very important. If you are aware that 62-point-something% people of Indonesia live in the coastal area. Coastal area, poverty is a problem over there. But because of seaweed, because after 30 days, you can harvest seaweed. So the people can grow fish, grow abalone, grow lobster over there. So issue of this is going to be less and less problem about the poverty in the coastal area. So we plan right now, we study very carefully how to build our industry on the fertilizer, organic fertilizer, because we export right now the raw material seaweed to India, and they process in India. And I said, why we should export this one? This is not rocket science. This we can do. So right now we have genome sequencing research center in Lake Toba. Then how do we editing the yield of any crops? So right now we are doing the garlic. So we are ready grow the garlic over there. We believe that we'll see the result. Our target 1 hectare can be 20 tons per hectare of garlic. So if we are able to do this one within 3 years time, 4 years time, we can reduce the import of garlic very much, because our import today nearly $800 million. So by doing this, we can do a lot in order to reduce our import any crops around the globe. Benchmarking biofuel cost, for instance, this is, I think, the biofuel we can pay because of the seaweed. So you can see the potential of this. Again, I just want to remind you, when I proposed about the downstreaming of nickel ore at the time, people, very pessimistic on that. So I hope you don't pessimistic about these dreams. I am pretty confident Indonesian people, a lot of smart and good heart. We can achieve this one. But at the end, we need, again, the infrastructures. So infrastructure, connectivity is very, very important in order to bring down the cost. Ladies and gentlemen, unlocking the next opportunity with frankincense downstreaming. This is a very important. Indonesia produce 80% of the frankincense, 80%. And this is like 35,000 hectares in Lake Toba. We were so surprised about this. We didn't know that before, that Indonesia supply 80% globally. The market of this today is like $23 billion. So you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen, this is the potential for Indonesia. But again, infrastructure is the bottom line. If you don't have a good infrastructure, how people can go there? So this is right now ongoing, and genome sequencing also working on that. We are able to have a data about this, and I think the data that we collected the last 4 weeks, is around 75,000 trees of the frankincense in Lake Toba that can produce 75,000 kilograms of frankincense. So this is again the potential in Indonesia, but again we need the infrastructure, toll road, and also other things. But basic infrastructure right now are already in place. The bilateral cooperation has offered key lesson and paved the way for further. If you look at this with China, two country twin parks, and also about Kaltara Green Industrial Park. I think this Kaltara Green Industrial Park is the biggest green industrial park globally, because we have like 7 gigawatt of hydropower. We can go maybe to 8, 9. Existing right now 6 something gigawatt. So all the industry over there, the aluminum, for instance, everything gonna energy by green energy. So we have like 6.3 TCF of gas in IDD in South Sulawesi. It's a very close connective to SIS. And also the fiber optic cable from US past this Makassar Strait. So if we have the data center over there, we can have the data center with the green energy. We can just connect to the this cable. So Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can do a lot today, especially when the Danantara Sovereign Wealth Fund are already in place right now. I understand they are working around the clock in order to, to fulfill the president wish to 7.5% return of this in Danantara investment. So I'm pretty confident that this could bring Indonesia again, to support Indonesia again to go to 7-8% growth by 2028-29. There's also the National Digital Service I mentioned already to all of you. I think they have 4 pillars of this. My slide, please. Yeah, 4 pillars. We are already working on this very much. And again, I'm pretty confident because of been experience. We are not begin from scratch. We are ready in some area. We just to connect, but we need basically how do we work together? So among the ministry and also with the other agencies. And I'm so happy with the Bapenas, and then Bapenas also involved and also with us. And we have some issue here and there, but in general, I think we were able and successfully to tackle the problem within the ministry and also with the institution. And Simbara, I believe ongoing right now, and I believe Cortex can be, function very well within 1 or 2 years' time. So this also could help to 1.5% our economic growth. So this is making Indonesia become so transparent and making Indonesia more efficient. I'm not saying that we don't have a corruption. We still have a corruption. But anywhere, even in US and anywhere, you go globally, they have a corruption. But don't ever claim that you don't have corruption. But you can manage the corruption very much because it becomes very hard to do. Because you don't deal to the human, but you deal with the machine. It's like e-catalog. E-catalog today, you deal with the machine, you don't deal with the human. My conclusion and closing remarks, ladies and gentlemen, achieving the vision of Golden Indonesia 2045 requires sustaining and inclusive economic growth while effectively navigating global and domestic challenge. We have a lot of challenge globally, but I believe Indonesia experience to navigate in this kind of situation. With the leadership President Prabowo, I think I don't see any problem. I know him very well, and he can bring Indonesia to the better future in the not too long from now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for very thought-provoking remarks. His Excellency Bapak Luhut Binsar Pandjaitan, you may return to your seat. Thank you very much, Bapak. One very good note, one very positive and optimistic note about Indonesia, especially on the economic outlook. When we have better infrastructure, that translates to better economy. But that means we need more collaborative actions with the private sector's partners as well as global partners to make those goals come true in the near future. Once again, we thank very much for your support, His Excellency Bapak Luhut Binsar Pandjaitan, for your unwavering support as well through infrastructure and especially to this event. And now, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about international affairs and economic outlook. Now we proceed to